Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Proverbs, 17th chapter. Better is a dry morsel and quietness therewith than an house full of sacrifices with strife. It says here, better is a dry crust eaten in peace, that's that morsel, like a morsel of bread, than a house filled with feasting and conflict. So you may have a large dinner table, foods of all sort, but if you can't even eat in peace, because there's always conflict, disagreement, those scenes where there's this argument at the dinner table, and if somebody gets upset and they just drop their spoon and fork or their fork and knife and just get up and leave. It's better if you had, even if it was just a piece of bread to split amongst yourselves, but, you can eat it with peace and harmony and joy and laugh and share in it together. And people underestimate that. They overlook that. A wise servant shall have rule over a son that causeth shame, and shall have part of the inheritance among the brethren. It says here, a wise servant will rule over the master's disgraceful son and will share the inheritance of the master's children, because they're going to properly raise up that master's son, okay, and discipline him correctly. And that brings what? Glory to the house. And with being such a good servant, it pleases the master so much that he'll bless him, as it says, he'll have an inheritance among the brethren. The fining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, but the Lord trieth the hearts. Let's look at that word, fining. Crucible, fining pot. Okay, a fining pot, crucible for a goldsmith. Let's look that up here. Crucible. Okay, a ceramic or metal container in which metals or other substances may be melted or subjected to very high temperatures. So the point that's being made here is silver is tested via the fining pot, and gold is tested in the furnace, right? It's purified in the furnace, but the hearts is tried by the Lord. A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips. So they're going to trust in lies. And a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. It says wrongdoers eagerly listen to gossip. Liars pay close attention to slander. Whoso mocketh the poor reproacheth his maker, which is the Most High. And he that is so you got to be careful. You don't want to mock one that is less fortunate than you, lest he cry unto the Lord, and the Lord gives you a taste of his life. He that is glad at calamities shall not be unpunished. So, be careful with that too. All right. You being overly glad. Like I say, there's just somebody, and that's not like somebody that's transgressed, against the Lord, or somebody that's been reserved unto Satan, but you just have it out against somebody for no reason. And you're glad at their calamities. You got to be careful, because the Lord might look at that and be displeased and have you share in some of that calamity. Children's children are the crown of old men. That is basically being able to have grandchildren. It's like a glory or a crown to old men. And the glory of children are their fathers. And you notice, like, eventually parents get to a certain age, and then they start pushing their children to have children because they want grandchildren. And sometimes you'll see that, right? The grandparents love the grandchildren, as it would seem, even more than the parents themselves. It says grandchildren are the crowning glory of the aged. Parents are the pride of their children. Verse 7, Excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince. What it means by becometh, like if something is unbecoming, it doesn't fit. Okay, it doesn't look right. It doesn't fit well on a fool to have excellent speech. Much less do lying lips a prince. It's not becoming for a prince to speak lies. Okay, it doesn't show forth integrity, at least for their role or for their position. A gift is as a precious stone in the eyes of him that hath it. Whithersoever it turneth, it prospereth. And this gift is going into like a bribe, right? So it says here in the NLT, a bribe is like a lucky charm. Whosoever gives one will prosper. That's how people get, out of certain situations. They get certain things that go in their favor. They bribe others. He that covereth a transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends. So say, say something happens, right? And you let it go, right? If you let it go, you seek love, right? You can maintain a bond. You can, sort of mend things and call it a day. But he that repeateth a matter, you keep bringing it up, separateth very friends. Because eventually it'll get to the point where it's like it's you're not able to get past it. Okay, and that can even ruin relationships. A reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. So, you can correct a wise man, and that correction will resonate with him. It'll enter into his mind, and he will accept it and receive it and be changed by it more effectively than 100 stripes into a fool. So you can beat a fool, you can whip him 100 times, and he'll still get up and go do the dumb shit that got him whipped in the first place. But concerning a wise man, you just need to correct him once, and that's it. They'll never do it again. Like, that's the point. An evil man seeketh only rebellion. Therefore, a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. All right, and that's judgment, right? Via the left hand side. Okay, because messengers are also angels are likened unto messengers, and sometimes the Lord sends judgment upon you via an angel. A deaf angel or left hand angel or even a right hand angel. But if you are only seeking rebellion because you're an evil man, guess what's waiting for you? Judgment. Verse 12. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man, rather than a fool in his a fool in his folly. A bear robbed of her whelps. A bear, we know what a bear is. Robbed of her whelps are her babies. Imagine a bear that's bereaved, okay, of her children. Here he's saying you basically have a better chance with an enraged bear than with a fool who's acting out their folly. That's how intolerable it is, for a fool that is in his folly. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. So if you're paying, if you pay back somebody evil for them doing you good, you're gonna suffer evil. Okay, that's what it means by evil shall not depart from his house. Things will not go well for you. Verse 14, the beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. It says starting a quarrel, NLT, starting a quarrel is like opening a floodgate. So stop before a dispute breaks out. If you know that this is a matter, and women love to do that. They don't apply wisdom to know, what, this isn't even worth it. They love that shit. Here it is, everything is all peaceful, and out of nowhere they just bring up something, that just, like it says, it opens a floodgate. And so the advice here is don't even bring it up. Let it go. Okay? Don't meddle with it, because you know what it's going to bring forth. It's going to open a can of worms. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are abomination to the Lord. Right? You try to acquit the wicked. You don't bring. And why would somebody do this? Right? On a basic level, somebody may get bribed to pervert and overturn judgment in favor of the wicked and condemn the just. but you're not judging righteously, and the Lord hates that. Okay, that's corruption. Wherefore, wherefore is there a price in the hand of a fool to get wisdom, seeing he hath no heart to it? Let's read that in the NLT. It says, "It is senseless to pay tuition to educate a fool." That is the price in the hand of a fool to try and gain wisdom, since he has no heart for learning. So it's going to be a waste. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So a friend, like an actual true friend, loveth at all times, meaning they're always going to be there for you, right? Whether through thick and thin. And likewise, a brother is born for adversity. So what that means is like they're going to be there for you when nobody else is, right? When you're going through hard times. A man void of understanding striketh hands, and becometh surety in the presence of his friend. Striketh hands is to make an agreement, like to shake, because when you shake somebody's hand, today they'll say like you dap them up, you're actually striking your hand against theirs. Likewise, when you shake their hands, you're forming an agreement. That's what it's signifying. So here he's saying only one who is void of understanding will agree to become surety in the presence of his friend. This is what surety is. Surety. A person who takes responsibility for another's performance or an undertaking, for example, their appearing in court or the payment of a debt. So if you are somebody's, it says money given to support an undertaking that someone will perform a duty, pay their debts. So you're basically saying, look, if let's read that. What's that second part again? Right, they take the responsibility of another's performance, like appearing in court on their behalf or paying a debt for them. So when you strike a hand, you agree to become surety in the presence of a friend. You're putting yourself at risk for their transgression or for their debt, and that's not a good position to put yourself in. He loveth transgression that loveth strife, and he that exalteth his gate seeketh destruction. Anyone who loves to quarrel loves sin. Anyone who trusts in high walls invites disaster. Why? Because you're not trusting in the Lord, and you're going to be complacent. And what's going to happen? Judgment. Something is going to happen that your high walls are not going to be able to deliver you from. And the Lord will put that to the test, right? In your security shall you suddenly be destroyed. He that hath a froward heart findeth no good. A froward heart is a mind that cannot be disciplined. You're not going to find good. And he that hath a perverse tongue falleth into mischief. Likewise, a perverse tongue, a wicked tongue, you don't speak right things. Eventually, you're going to fall into mischief. He that begetteth a fool doeth it to his sorrow. and in the Apocrypha, it says that, what is that? Weep. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah. It says here in Ecclesiasticus 22:11, weep for the dead, for he hath lost the light, and weep for the fool, for he wanteth understanding. Make little weeping for the dead, for he is at rest, but the life of the fool is worse than death. Damn. So as it says, he that begetteth a fool, if your son is a fool, that's to your sorrow, man. And the father of a fool hath no joy, because his son is only going to bring him shame and disgrace through his folly. A merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. Yeah, so sometimes just being happy and joyful in heart can make you feel good. It's like having medicine when you're sick to heal you. But the contrary is also true, right? A broken spirit drive the bones. It makes you weak. The scriptures say that the spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a broken spirit who can bear? A wicked man taketh a gift out of the bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. A gift is a bribe. So he receives a bribe to pervert the ways of judgment, which is justice. So he knows that the rich man is really guilty, but he won't rule against the rich because he received a bribe. Wisdom is before him that hath understanding, but the eyes of a fool are in the ends of the earth. It says, sensible people keep their eyes glued on wisdom, but a fool's eyes wander to the ends of the earth. A fool's son or a foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her that bear him. And this is why the scriptures tell you to not to spare the rod, okay, and spoil the child. Discipline your child, because if you allow them to increase in folly, they're only going to bring grief to you, and bitterness to her that bear him. Right? That's the shame and disgrace and anguish they're going to bring to their parents. Also, to punish the just is not good, nor to strike princes for equity. It is wrong to punish the godly for being good, or to flog. Flog is like, to beat leaders for being honest. He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. So when you spare your words, you speak sparingly, right? You don't babble on like a fool. You say what's right and what's needed at the right time, and you call it a day, right? And a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding. So you may be a fool, but nobody has to know it. Just don't speak. There's a quote. It says, fool, and is that expel all doubts? Maybe I could find it. Yeah, the quote is, or the phrase, better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. All right, and that's to say that, the meaning, right? It advises that holding your tongue, which means to not talk, allows others to merely speculate about your intelligence, but speaking ignorantly confirms a lack of knowledge. So now they know for sure, based on what you said, oh yeah, this guy, he's a complete fool. He does not know what he's talking about. And that brings us to the end of the book of Proverbs, the 17th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.